levers were all taken off. I was just about to do this last night when I ran out of time. This is what's called the dead lever. It goes right in here, and that has a pivot right here, and it will pull on the brakes on the truck, which is out there. There's another one behind me called the live lever, which will do the same thing on the other end. What we're doing is putting together the materials that are, or the components underneath the car in a specific order. The things that are the hardest to move and the most rigid as far as where they're going to be, we put on first, the brake cylinder, the reservoirs. The next thing is a little bit more flexible, and that's the brake levers here. They slide on this thing right here. The piping is, there's some flexibility in. And then the last thing we will do is the motor wiring. And then we can put the deck on. We're able to work just barely around here, and you can see there's a mess of all the old pipes here, which in the next couple of days we're going to replace one piece at a time, and then it'll be all open in here. We did raise the car up about another foot so that we could get around under here. There are various things under here that are also important. That's a bracket for the shaft of the handbrake. There's a wheel up inside the cab with a shaft that extends down and rests on that bracket there, and then it has a chain wrapped around it which goes around a pulley over there, and then goes to the chain ends up on this right here. This is called a sway bar, at least they call it that in England, and I've adapted that term. And that actually is what pulls the handbrakes on. That's connected through various chains and levers to the other brakes. And all these things were taken down. They were badly corroded, and now they've all been painted just like new. It was kind of an interesting arrangement here for the handbrake, and we're not quite sure what they had in mind, but these two blocks of wood are original, going back to 1906, and there were holes in them, but they were never used. And this bracket was fastened about 2 inches over through bolts that went here through another block. So we moved it back to where it was originally because it's much more solid. I had no idea why they did it that way, though the original mounting looked pretty solid, whereas this doesn't. And so we'll see what happens. If they don't work, then we can move it over a little bit using the old pieces of wood replaced. Now, the other reservoir, there are two main reservoirs because when you have a train, you need to have a lot of air capacity. We have pictures of this hauling 4 or 5 cars, and each one of them would have a small reservoir, but ultimately it has to get its air from that. As I